It's been a long and lonely road from a miserable childhood to a new hit talk show. And it's so good to see you, my friends, 'cause Billy Pumpkin is blubbering again. Good evening and welcome to Billy Pumpkin Incessantly Blubbers, a podcast for the melancholy and infinitely sad. I'm your cleanly, godly host, Billy Pumpkin. I have to say, today's show is like a Siamese wet dream come true, because I'm pleased to welcome one of the architects of the Stairway to Heaven, none other than the majestic voice of Led Zeppelin, still as tall and cool as ever, the one and only, the Robert Plant. Good evening, darling. It's so wonderful to be here. You know, I'm good friends with another tall, cool one, Dennis Rodman. Did you ever play basketball?
I knocked about a bit of football in public school, and I was a marvel at marbles, but no basketball, I'm afraid.
Back when I was single, me and Dennis would go to Bulls games and hang out in gentlemen's clubs, where I'd get lap dances from women of all different races and ethnicities. That's because Dennis would hog all the Caucasian girls. I'm very sorry to hear that. Now, Bobby, I've always been a big admirer of Led Zeppelin, and you influenced a lot of what I did with my band, the Pumpkins. But the one thing I've always noticed, that even with all of the strife and upheaval of the late 60s and early 70s, what with the Vietnam War and the women's liberation movement raging, it seemed that your song lyrics focused mainly on your dicks and having sex.
Well, dear, I suppose that coming from Great Britain, since there was no draft, we weren't as affected by the war in Vietnam. But the women we encountered on the road were quite liberated, I must say, and we were more than happy to, let's say, help facilitate that liberation in whatever manner we could, if you know what I mean.
You mean like inviting them back to your hotel rooms for deep, meaningful, philosophical conversations about your hopes and dreams, deepest fears, and my miserable childhood, which usually ended with me on the floor in the fetal position, weeping uncontrollably, and the girl running for the door.
Well, I suppose being a rock star in the 90s was quite a different animal than it was back in my day.
Now, Bobby, there is one thing that I have to mention. One of my favorite guitar riffs of all time is the riff from Whole Lotta Love.
Certainly, darling, and for all his foibles, Jimmy Page did have quite a knack for knocking out stellar riffs.
I only wish you'd have given me credit for it.
Come again?
That droning E5 power chord Page uses in that riff, he got that from me. I invented that when I was with the Pumpkins. There's even a name for it.
I know, dear, it's the E5.
No, it's called the pumpkin chord!
I hardly think so, darling. We made that record in 1969. I believe you still would have been tinkling in your short trousers at that time.
That may be true, but I was always something of an old soul!
You know, I'd heard stories about you driving that blonde bass player to smoke crack, and now I'm not quite sure they're not true.
Now, one of the things I've always prided myself on with regards to my guitar playing in the Pumpkins is my technical precision. I've always striven to be a very clean player. Because cleanliness is godliness, and godliness is only my miserable childhood! But you know, as much as I love Led Zeppelin and respect Jimmy Page for his riffs and songwriting, I've always found him to be a somewhat sloppy player.
particularly live. That's why, unfortunately, I wouldn't include Jimmy Page on Billy Pumpkin's Mount Rushmore of best guitarists. Well, who would be on your Mount Rushmore, darling? Well, of course, number one would have to be Billy Pumpkin. And then I'd say Ed Van Halen for reinventing heavy metal guitar as we know it. Have you read my Guitar World interview with him? No, darling, I don't believe I have. That's okay. I'll email you the link.
I think you'll really enjoy it!
The next one I'd put on Mount Rushmore would have to be Kurt Cobain, 'cause in spite of our fierce musical rivalry, he was as tormented and troubled as me. And there's no arguing with his musical talents.
He was an assassin!
I know. He assassinated Kurt Cobain.
Too soon! Is that your idea of British humor? That's not cool!
I do apologize, dear. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, darling. So where were we? Yes, best guitarists. How many people are on Mount Rushmore again? I believe 4, dear. Okay, so I'd say number 4 would have to be Kermit the Frog. Come again? Did you say Kermit the Frog? I didn't decide to become a musician until after I saw Kermit play Rainbow Connection on the banjo in the original Muppet movie. Are you putting me on? You know Kermit the Frog is a puppet.
No! He played banjo in the Muppet movie!
That wasn't real, darling. I believe that was a puppeteer.
No! Kermit's not a puppet! He's an anthropomorphic amphibian capable of playing stringed instruments and riding a bicycle and having intimate relationships with swine despite having no visible genitalia!
I'm sorry, but Kermit's not real, dear.
Why am I finding this out now? As a lonely latchkey kid growing up, the Muppets were like my family. Kermit and Miss Piggy were my de facto parents. Beacons of light in a world of darkness and misery. And now you've ruined it for me!
I'm terribly sorry, darling.
And what's with this darling crap? What is it with you Brits and your feminine faux intimates? They feel like microaggressions to me. You're casting aspersions regarding my manliness, aren't you? 'Cause manliness is loneliness and loneliness is cleanliness. Oh, my miserable childhood! Somebody bring me my teddy bear!
I'm sorry, but do you have any questions for me?
Excuse me?
I've got an exciting new solo project. We've got a new record coming out and we're about to hit the road. I mean, this is an interview after all, isn't it?
I'm sorry, Bobby. This is Billy Pumpkin. Incessantly blobbers! My guest today was Dream Smasher Robert Plant. And why should I expect this segment to go anything but poorly? So let me sing you out. It's been a long and lonely road from a miserable childhood to a new hit talk show. And it's so good to see you, my friends, 'cause Billy Pumpkin is blubbering again.
Here.